Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, also known as America's Inventor Lady and host of Invent America Radio. And we are 2 weeks away from the opening day of ASD Market Week. I know that there are thousands of inventors out there who should be going to this show. It is the biggest show in America for consumer products, business to business. The buyers are there. They want to see what's new, what's coming, not the old stuff. They already know that. Marketing is the big black pit for inventors. And I've got a gentleman today, Ray Baraska. He has seen this from a 10,000 foot view and up close view. Ray, thanks for joining us today. And, tell the inventors out there why ASD Market Week is where they've got to be. And marketing is such a big black pit.
Absolutely. And thank you for inviting me today, Rita, to talk with you about this issue, which I think is really an important issue. And I'd like to start off by saying, and this is something I was going to deal with probably later on in our discussion, but since you phrased it that way, I think I need to address it right up front. It's not just a question of going to ASD Market Week, which is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trade show. Now, I've been to a lot of trade shows, Consumer Electronics Show, National Hardware Show, you name it, I've been there. And I will tell you from personal experience that none of the shows offer the kind of opportunity to an inventor that ASD Market Week in March in particular offers to inventors of all shapes and sizes. But what's important is that, like every other trade show, if you go to ASD Market Week by yourself, you will suffer the same financial penalty that exists in attending any trade show, which is exorbitant cost. The only way a trade show makes sense for an individual inventor is if you actually attend a trade show with someone as expert and as fully structured in terms of a team and support as Rita Crompton has. And I've been told that this may be one of the last shows she does where she actually subsidizes inventors' attendance at a trade show. So it's so critical, this particular trade show coming up.
Well, I think you hit on a very important point. When you go by yourself, you are truly by yourself. You bear all the costs by yourself. You can't leave the booth because then it's unmanned and you can't go out and walk and work the floor, which is a really important part of this. You don't have the team that's got your back. And so being able to go, where ASD people work with us to promote the products there. If you're by yourself, you're stuck out in the weeds, by the cargo doors waiting for somebody to come and talk to you. And, if you go with the team, now you truly do have a team. Teams always do better.
And that's been my experience too. When we first started in the inventing business years ago, my team, when we had a 5x5 booth or a 5x10 booth, we saw how isolated we were amidst all of the other booths that are out there, each of which is competing for the audience's attention. When you go with someone like Rita, where she's actually essentially subsidizing the cost of the presentation, the cost of being there at the trade show, so that inventors pay a fraction of what they'd otherwise pay if they went on their own. When you do that, what happens is you have a lot of people with you. You have a team with you. You have other support members so that you can go walk the floor. And while you're walking the floor, there's somebody that's taking care of presenting your invention to the public as they drift by your big space. And having a big space is an important element in attracting attention. If you have a little space, you get a little bit of attention. If you have a big space, as Rita, for instance, has when she attends the trade shows, that is really, really important. You stick out. There's no way they can avoid seeing you in that kind of environment. So I think it's really important. So since we've kind of dealt with why it's important, if you're going to go to a trade show at all, to go with someone like Rita, let me just go over some of the other issues about why you should go to a trade show, because there are many, many, many issues. Okay?
One of the big ones that I hear is that people don't, they think, oh, we'll do social media instead of going to the show. And it's like, oh my goodness, that is wrong on so many levels. So, rather than me saying it, tell everybody, why is that wrong?
Well, as you will recall, we actually spent some time a couple of days ago talking about this precise issue, social media, and why social media is not the way to build the world's awareness of your invention. And it's really important for you to do that, to build the world's awareness of your invention, because only if you can do that can you get a licensee, can you get a manufacturer, distributor, wholesalers, a retailer, someone willing to sell your product and take a chance on you. Only if you can get out there and call the world to the attention of your product, of your invention, can you ever hope to succeed. So here's the problem with social media, and we won't spend much time on it because we spent a lot of time on it a couple of days ago. But the problem with social media is that if you're brand new to social media, trying to build presence, which what's called engagement, is really, really virtually impossible these days, unless you're willing to spend a ton of money. Now, here's the problem with spending a ton of money. What you buy when you spend a ton of money is what's called impressions. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on, whether it's YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, you name it. Whatever it is, it's the same model. They sell you impressions. What is an impression? An impression is something that flashes by the eyeballs in less than a second of someone scrolling on their phone. That's all it is. It doesn't mean they've actually seen what it is you're trying to get them to see. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, that you get, quote, what's called views. Someone in the flashing by their eyeballs, all of a sudden it catches their attention, they stop scrolling their phone and they look at your whatever you're presenting at that moment. If they spend 3 seconds, even if they don't digest what's really there, if they spend 3 seconds to decide whether they want to probe deeper or not, that's considered a view. And that's the best you can hope for with social media spending, is views. And most people never get views. What they get is impressions. In order to get engagement, what has to happen is the person not only has to not just have an impression and not just engage in a view, but they actually have to stop long enough to digest what it is you're saying. That's engagement. And that happens very, very, very infrequently when you're on social media. So it's an awful waste of your money if you're brand new to try to create awareness of your invention by using social media to do so. It's a long-term build. It has to be done organically. You have to become very wise in all of the different platforms that could help you build your business. So that takes time, and it takes a lot of money and effort on your part, not spending money with social media platforms, but just investing time, your own time, in becoming familiar with those platforms. Okay, so I think that's enough about social media, quite honestly.
Well, and you said the magic word there, time. Time is the inventor's enemy, because you can't make more time, but you can spend months trying to build a social media following. And it's really, you're just throwing your time and your money down a black pit because you don't see any results of it. When you go to a trade show, now you're face to face. You can see their eyeballs. You can engage them. You can reach out and shake their hand. You say, let me show you this. Tell me what you think. Should I change my name? Should I change the packaging? And you get more information in 3 days than you do in 6 months on social media. And then you've got something to walk away with.
That's always the case. Always, always, always the case. Let's go to a different issue now. Let's talk about marketing consultants and market research, because that's something I know a tremendous amount about from personal experience. Let me just lay out very quickly a kind of a context for you. I had a business a while back called Archimedes Offspring. It was one of the best models to fund inventing that could ever have existed. Unfortunately, we had a limited amount of money to spend, less than $200,000. And so stupidly, we listened to other people tell us we should get marketing consultants and use this firm and that firm. Well, what ended up happening is we hire them, they get on board, they do a little bit of looking at your material, they ask you some questions, they produce a first PowerPoint, and then the next thing they do is they want to lay out a complete strategic plan for you. Well, what does that strategic plan consist of? Well, they want to build what's called a framework for your business. And essentially what it boils down to is a tremendous investment in time and your money in building a website that you may already have and that you've already spent a huge amount of your own time in constructing, or even time with an outside webmaster. That's what they want to do. They want to scrap whatever it is you've already created, and they want to impose instead their own vision, and they want to charge you for every single mile that they walk in that regard. Well, I can tell you very, very frankly that we basically spent that $200,000 and went down a black hole. It will never be recoverable. I'm still paying off the loans on that investment. And so that was the worst possible use of our money, was retaining these marketing, consulting, market research firms.
I think the important thing that we learned from all of that is not to do it and not to advise other people to do it, because all you've got to show for it at the end of the day is a big freaking invoice. And they've got no skin in the game. They sent you an invoice. You were a client. They've got no accountability. It's like, okay, we know we need a website. We know we need to do these things. I didn't need you to tell me. I needed you to do it. Okay, well, tried going that route too. And what we found out was that, okay, they said they were doing it, sent the invoice again, but you got to do it yourself. How do you do it yourself? You go to a trade show.
That's right. And the truth is, there is no good marketing consultant. It doesn't matter whether they're little firms, medium-sized firms, they've been around a while, they haven't been around a while. Some of the biggest ones in the world, like McKinsey and Company, and some of the others like them, they have awful track records when it comes to actually producing a result that their client can ultimately live with. So there is no good marketing consulting firm. It's a waste of money. You can save a boatload of money by going to 1, 2, 3, even 5 trade shows, as opposed to actually going and having a marketing consultant basically rip your business apart and then reconstruct it in their own profile and charge you for every single thing that they do.
Absolutely. I mean, it's frightening how predatory that market space is and how vulnerable my inventors are, and all the inventors out there. And I had a lady call me yesterday and she goes, okay, I was talking to this person. They told me these things that just scared the daylights out of me. And I said, I need to call Rita. And she did. And I said, walk it back, honey, walk it back. And I said, you don't do this. And I said, they're giving you advice based on the fact that they think you're opening a pizza place, not taking, some product to markets that's going to be sold nationally. And I said, all of the information they gave you was wrong. And she goes, thank you. Because in my gut, it said, this doesn't work. And, she's going to the show. Guess what? She's going to ASD Market Week. She's looking forward to being out there and showing her product and doing exactly what we said, gathering the market research. But the folks that she was, getting information from, they were talking to her like she was opening, a dry cleaners down the street, not taking a product to market nationally. There's a difference.
Absolutely. Only people who counsel inventors that have done that for years and years and years have any clue what an inventor's life is like and what their financial situation is. So don't listen to market research firms. Don't listen to marketing consultants. They don't have a clue what your real needs are. All right. Now let's turn our attention toward trade shows in general and talk about why ASD Market Week itself is such a great show. And like I said, from personal experience, I know that it's a great show. First thing, I happen to be an old white man. I'm the typical obstacle to all of these wonderful inventors, young ones in particular, out there being able to finally make a success of themselves and of their product, okay? I'm the gatekeeper. I'm the person that stops everything from happening. Well, guess what? Most trade shows are run by people exactly like me. Most trade shows are run by old white men with big companies and have no interest in you, little inventor, whether you're a male or female, an old white man, a young white man, black, white, Latino, it doesn't matter who you are. They don't care about you at all. They care about themselves and they care about their business, and their business is usually huge. And the last thing they really want to hear or see is you in their face with your invention. So it's pointless to try to dump your money into a show like National Hardware Show, the Automotive Show, any of those big shows. The only show out there that even comes close to giving you the kind of opportunity that ASD Market Week gives you in general is a very specific show. It's a huge show, but it's very specific. It's the Consumer Electronics Show. And the truth is, ASD Market Week isn't where you'd go anyway. You'd go to the Consumer Electronics Show if you have one of those new jazzy, razzle-dazzle devices in the high-tech space. Okay? But if you have any product that falls outside of that, ASD Market Week is really the only show that's good for you. Okay?
It's important for inventors to know there's so many different types of shows out there. And you want a show that, like ASD Market Week, where they encourage you to sell. Last year, everybody who went with us that had inventory sold it all. I mean, it didn't matter what it was, if it was a new powder deodorant or, a new pain reliever for, acupressure. They sold all the inventory that they had, which was great. We'd gone to the National Hardware Show for years and nobody ever sold anything because you weren't supposed to. And they really came down on you if you did. You were supposed to take orders, but not sell inventory. ASD is very different. Sell, sell, sell. If you're there with an attendee badge on, you're supposed to be buy, buy, buy. And, they're very encouraging. They pre-sell products that are new. Wonderful. The other shows didn't do that. They were only about making the money. They weren't about making the attendees, the exhibitors, successful. And ASD is so different. They want the exhibitors to be successful. So they're all about get out there, shake hands, sell, 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 and, let's get this done.
And here's the other thing, and this is as important, and certainly it was very important to me. I used to attend the other shows, and always I would do so with incredible dread. When I first went to ASD Markets Week, I had the same dread as I had developed going to all the other trade shows. But what happened was the people at ASD Market Week are a totally different type of human being. This is a great show in that it is ethnically and racially and nationality-wise diverse. You have all sorts of people there. You have people who are friendly, who are cordial, who smile at you, who want you to succeed. You have support staff at ASD Market Week that are better than any other support staff I've ever encountered at a trade show. You have the Freeman, which is the union that actually moves stuff in and out of the convention centers. They're actually friendly when you go to an ASD Market Week show. They are not friendly when you go to the National Hardware Show or anywhere else. You have to battle them constantly. And it is a strain on your emotion. It's a strain on your budget, and it scares the hell out of you. That's not the case with ASD Market Week.
It's so different. I called Freeman yesterday to talk to them about some of the things. Oh, yeah. They were very helpful. She explained a lot and everything. Oh my goodness, when we'd go to the other shows and we'd have to call and talk to them, they were so grumpy and growly and everything, and been chased through the building for them, trying to get you not to do something. And here it's like, oh, let us help you. Very different. Very different.
That's right. The other thing is that when you go to a show like a National Hardware Show or shows like that, they police the show. So if you just step over the line of your space and you are in the throughway there, they will come down hard on you. So there's actually a police, not in uniforms, but essentially the same function is done. None of that exists at ASD Market Week. It's a free-flowing, wonderful, engaging, open, accepting kind of atmosphere. And that's really important. If you feel good about where you are, you will do a better job of presenting your product or your invention. Okay? When you feel good, you can do good. It's that simple. Let's go back to the point that Rita was making before about inventors with inventory. Well, ASD Market Week is wonderful for them because they can actually accomplish their goals because it's a selling floor. And so if you have stuff to sell and it's cool and it strikes somebody's fancy, guess what? They're going to buy it. And we've seen that again and again and again at the ASD Market Weeks that we've attended. What about inventors who aren't as far along? The ones that aren't full of, what do they call it? Early runs.
So, well, when the inventors are there, and this is a really important part, they're there to gather market research. You get better market research. What is the consumer's price point on this? But when you're talking to the buyers that would be the sellers of your product, all right, they look at a gadget and they say, okay, this needs to be in this kind of sweet spot. What kind of packaging? Different stores demand different packaging. The last thing an inventor needs to do is have, 20,000 wrappers done and the stores say, we can't use that. So the store, they'll tell you, they'll know, names. What kind of names are they looking at? A licensee. You can meet potential licensees when you're there. So those early stage inventors that are going for market research, you can get a ton of market research there in 3 days. That if you were paying a market research company to do it, would cost you somewhere above 10 grand, and you've got nothing to work with because they may have talked to 1,000 consumers. Here you're talking to buyers who represent thousands of consumers, and you get it in 3 days.
Right. So
how much better is that when you're shaking somebody's hand, you're looking them in the eye, oh, did you think about doing it like this? And you're going, no, but that's a really good idea. Market research is right there on demand, 3 days.
Right. So when inventors who aren't that far along go to ASD Market Week, what they have available to them is a lot of different players in the world of business. They have distributors, they have manufacturers, they have wholesalers, retailers, they have consumers, they have the entire world at their feet at the trade show. So this enables them to either get direct market validation of their invention or the knowledge that they either have to abandon the idea entirely or go back to the drawing board and eliminate some of the problems that were identified by people who actually engage with them about their invention. So that's invaluable. You can't get that anywhere else.
You can't. And, you know, it's like nobody put pandemic in their 2020 business plan, but we had to deal with it. And so everything went to virtual. They tried to do a lot of trade shows virtually. And what we learned is that virtual doesn't work when it comes to selling a product. Doesn't matter whether it is some kind of show, trade show doing, some kind of pitch that they're trying to teach you how to do, or just selling on social media. Virtual doesn't work. Nothing replaces face-to-face, the handshake, the eye contact, and them being able to touch your product, try your product, and give you their feedback. If they look at their watch, oh, it's over. The conversation is over. But now you know, it's like, all right, I need to practice that introductory line because I'm not getting them. You can do it. You can ask us. We'll tell you, you just don't get that when you're treading out there all by yourself. There's nothing like a team to make the results better.
Absolutely. And then I want to circle back to, I think, probably the final and most important point from a financial planning and budgeting perspective. You can't get the kind of value anywhere else that you can get by going to ASD Market Week with Rita Crompton and the Invent America team. And that's because when you buy the right to be in a booth, that is one cost that you have for a trade show. But that is not the only cost. It's all the hidden costs that you don't become aware of until you finally get there. So you get there, and what do you see? You see a piece of carpet, a table, and if you're lucky, a chair. And then you see this 5x10 space and a curtain behind you, which seals you off from everybody else. Okay. What you still need is electricity, because most people bring a computer or a monitor or something so you can demo your product. Why? Because video sells these days like no other type of medium sells. Okay, that's the first expense you have, which means you need to have electricity and you need to have, let's say, a monitor, unless you're going to show people your laptop. And guess what? It doesn't impress people when you show them whatever it is you want to show them on your laptop. A TV screen at a minimum is required. Okay, so that's the first cost. But then you have the Freemans, and you have to actually have an arrangement with the Freemans to get your stuff in and out, because guess what? You're not allowed to carry the stuff in unless you can do it on your back. You're toast unless you get the Freemans to actually bring your stuff into the convention center, and they're going to charge you for that a lot of money. Let's say your particular product or invention has something to do with the internet. You need to have access to the internet. Well, that's another charge that you didn't anticipate. Let's say you want to try to collect information while you're there, possible customers or whatever, maybe companies you could work with in the future. Well, then you need to buy a system that will record all the people that you have managed to meet in the course of your being there at the trade show during that period of time. That's an additional cost. The average cost for a person going alone to a trade show by themselves and not getting much bang for their buck is somewhere between $11,000 and $12,000. $11,000 and $12,000 is your all-in cost, and you don't even get the benefit that you would get by going to ASD Market Week with someone like Rita Crompton, where she brings a team, she brings all of the amenities and all of the infrastructure that you need to be able to run a space. She has 15 years more experience in this space, been doing trade shows forever. She happens to be one of the best trade show people I have ever encountered in my life in terms of just being able to run a team and actually get stuff accomplished. You cannot get a better bargain than going to ASD Market Week with Rita Crompton. And that's right from my heart. And everything that I've just told you is the absolute God's honest truth.
Well, there's one adjustment to that. It's the fact that the reason you get there and you see the carpet all laid out is because somebody ordered it and paid for it. And it's usually me. And because they don't give you the carpet, they give you a concrete floor and
well, there you go.
tape down. Here's your space. And if you haven't pre-ordered the carpet and pre-ordered the electric, oh yeah, it's there and it's all naked. So anyway, that is, absolutely the truth, what we've learned, over the years, and, dealing with, trade shows. There's no other trade show that I would take a team to. And you're right. This is the last voyage of the America's Inventor Lady to a show with a team. So, if you're out there, anybody, we've got 2 weeks before that show opens. Join us now. It includes all of the online print advertising, the staff there to help you, the people who have your back, and being part of the team. Don't miss it. Join us.